Hey, this is David Wethington here. I'm going to show you how I took this photo of my friend Gerald over to this before and after, the original before and after. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to the Develop panel, hit D if you haven't already. Another way to find out is right here, you're in Develop Library. First thing we're going to do is go to Adobe Portrait, this one I use. Figure out which one looks best for you. I always go with Vivid or Portrait. I generally go with Portrait. White balance. There's nothing here that's white. We could try that gray. Oh, that looks alright. White balance I always struggle with, so I'll try a shot. Looking decent. Auto. That's pretty blue. See if we can warm it up a little bit. That looks alright. We'll try flash. Flash looks pretty good. Next thing we're going to do after we've done the flash is we're going to crop. I have a basement studio, as you can see here. It's definitely basement. I got a small paper background. It definitely does the job, but drawbacks of having a basement studio. And obviously when I do this for the second time, it's not going to look identical to what it did the first time, but we'll get something that we're happy with. It looks a little crooked. I'm going to find this, straighten them out just a little bit. Nah, it's worse. Oh, it's good. It's good now. He looks good. Alright, so the basic adjustments, we're going to just go down the line here. We're going to see what the exposure looks pretty good. I like it a little darker. We're going to end up doing some dodging and burning later in Photoshop, and even a little bit here in Lightroom. So we don't want to go too far with it. It's easier to add layers on as you go rather than pile it up and then get too far gone. You don't know where you came from, where you're going. But I like the shadows and the highlights. You can see the nice catch lights in his eyes here, shadow right here on his lip. If you bring the exposure up too much, you're going to lose that. You're going to lose that strength that the shadows play. It adds drama. It's my style. That's what I like. Highlights, I don't even want to touch those. It was pretty good exposure in camera. Shadows, that's where I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to bring it down all the way. Lights, if you hold down the all button, go until you see a little dot. See where it took you a little bit. Go up here and clip this to hide your highlights. We're pretty good. We're going to go down a little bit though, just because you don't want to overdo it. Same with blacks. If you hold Alt and then bring it back, you can see that we already have some blacks exposed. We're going to go down just a little bit. See how it looks. If you hit the backslash key, as soon as Lightroom loads up, oops. Oh, that's doing the before and after the. Oh, usually if you hit the backslash key, it'll give you before and after, but this is my final picture here. This is actually, where did it go? Oh, that's messing up. My apologies. A lot of people, I will move back in. A lot of people don't like the clarity sliding, but I found that if you just do it just a little bit, no more than 10, generally, you can get away with it. 15 is too much. 5 or 10 and I'm pretty good. It gives a little bit of texture up through the face and the skin. We don't want to overdo it, make it look real punchy. Dehaze, I don't do anything of that. On this, Vibrance, he's got a real colorful shirt. Gerald, he's a nice guy. But we're going to lower his colors down just a little bit. When you do a portrait, a lot of the a lot of times these busy patterns can distract from what's really important. If you take a portrait and you notice that their shirts are like this, just bringing down the saturation a little bit can help. We're actually going to do a little bit more of that in Photoshop probably. Might even take an adjustment brush to it, because we don't want him to lose the color in his skin. He's got a little bit of a red to it. That's good. So we'll just leave the vibrance where it is, saturation at -5. The tone curve, we're gonna play with that a little bit. I like to drop the 3 points right there in the beginning, the middle, and then I'm just gonna drag my blacks up just slightly. If you go too far, you can make it look real goofy. Make it a negative. We don't want to do that. We want a nice, dynamic, strong, bold portrait. We don't want to go crazy. And you can go up a little bit more. Right about there. Then something you can do is just bring your blacks back down a little bit, not too much. You still want that clip, that faded look. We're going to see if we can bring down some of these colors. Come over here on the hue, saturation, luminance bar, grab this. We can grab these and just start pulling it down, see what they do for us. Just the colors, just to get it out a little bit, but we don't want to mess with the skin too much. So yeah, we're just going to do this with an adjustment brush. I don't do split toning too much. Details, that's another place where I differ from a lot of people. Sharpening, I go just kind of guess where it feels comfortable, where my mouse hit. And then radius and detail, I bring all the way down. Masking, hold down the Alt button and just slide it to the right. And anywhere you see that white is where the layer is showing up. Most people hate the noise reduction, but I almost always put either 5 or a 10 in it. Just enough to help smooth it out, but not too much to mess it. If you go too far, it can look like a cartoon. There you go. Yeah, cartoony, real soft. All that detail is gone. But fine if you go to 5 or 10, 6 would be good. Lens correction, get your lens profiles on. In my basement, I always shoot the portraits with a 50mm 1.8. I'm hardly ever at f8. I'm not good enough for that. f9.5 is good enough for me. I can get nice sharp photos, nice depth of field, a lot of detail. And if you're at f1.8, you've got to be a sharpshooter. Otherwise, you're gonna miss that focus point. You got to spend a lot of time practicing that. It's very impressive seeing people that can shoot at f1.8 and get super sharp photos. If you hit the K button, K key will bring up your adjustment layer, but we're going to bring everything back down to 0 and do the effects. Hit O, we're going to just color a shirt. The O brings up this mask. And from there, we're just going to color a shirt a little bit. Hold the Alt button. We'll bring up the eraser. We're going to outline the shirt. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're not going to do anything dramatic to it. We're just going to lower the saturation a tiny bit just so it's not as busy. Hit the O again to bring it off. You know it's there. We're going to just come down here to saturation. Oops. And just tap it down a little bit at a time until it looks good. If you hit this button, I'll turn the adjustment brush off. Then we'll go a little bit more. And that's too much. So down about 20 something. It's just enough to soften that. I do all my selective coloring or adjustments in Lightroom a majority of the time, either when I come back for Photoshop or before it. It varies. It doesn't really matter either way. Now this time we're going to take it right over to Photoshop though. My own personal workflow, I will hit the P button to make sure it's flagged, but then I'm going to hit 9 to make it blue. The blue just tells me that it needs to go to Photoshop. So you hit Control E and it will take you to Photoshop. If you give it a second. There it is. Excuse me, I took a drink. Control J, make a copy of it. Now we're going to start running down. Deselect that layer. First things we're going to do is, if we notice anything that stands out that we need to spot remove, maybe I'll flag it here, get rid of this. Might crop it in a little bit, but Control Shift N will bring up a new layer. I don't usually worry about labeling those. I usually consolidate them as I go. J, bring up the adjustment brush. Right bracket key. Or not the adjustment brush, the spot healing brush. Get rid of that. If you hold the control button and the plus arrow, you can zoom in. Space will do the hand. So you can adjust a little bit. And we're just gonna, doesn't have to be perfect, just so it isn't distracting, you know. People have these all the time. You don't even notice it because it's every day. But when a photo is frozen in front of you, excuse me, you have a lot of time to watch it and to look at it. Yeah, you're gonna notice it. Not much, just enough. Control Shift E will merge those two layers together. I'm gonna do Control Shift N again. Bring up another one. And now what I'm going to do is sharpen it. I got my new layer. I'm going to Shift F5. It's going to bring up a color fill layer. There, he's going to fill that layer with a color. I'm going to do 50% gray. Bring it down. I'm going to do soft light. Actually, I'm going to take that back to normal. Mixing things up. Filter, blur, other, high pass. And this is my sharpen. You don't need to go overboard with it. Not preview. There we go. Soft light. We'll just play around with that so it makes it look good. And it isn't a lot. We don't want to do too much. We want to sharpen it a little bit. Hopefully you can see that in your monitor. Sorry, it can distract me. I'm actually gonna delete that. I think something went wrong. Do Control Shift Alt E. Control J, get a new layer. Filter. High pass. Yeah, here we go. I wasn't doing it at all. We're where I wanted to be. Sorry about that. Just want a little bit of the details to come through. It's looking good. 9 preview. We just made a copy of it. My apologies. Gray screen threw me off. Then we're going to go to overlay. It's a little rough, a little rugged around the edges. We'll go to soft light, and soft light looks good. We're definitely going to bring the opacity down. It doesn't have to be much. The main spot I'm looking for that is in the eyes. And that looks pretty good to me. Come down here and I'm going to make a mask. I'm going to brush it off just a little bit. The right bracket key, make it larger. Got the B button, or B key, black. I'm just going to color this and here we go. You hit the mask, hit Alt. It shows you what the mask looks like. I'm really just gonna, could have done it either way. You could have made it a black layer, or deselected it and I just masked it out. Or we can actually click this and just go a little bit more. You bring that up, bring up the layer mask control panel. Bring the density down just a little bit so it's not completely masked out. And then go from there. And so that's our sharpening. Once again, I'm going to Control Shift E, merge those together. Here comes a fun part. We're going to do some textures. For Gerald, I brought up some new textures. I got to find it again. Probably should have had all this ready. I'm sorry. My fault. If you work with me, you'll end up knowing that I am a pretty goofy guy. I like to have fun, but I often misplace things. Here we go. I actually did this these leaves. Gerald's a farmer. He's a country boy. This background just seemed to fit for him in my eyes anyway. So I got this layer. Can't see anything. We're gonna go to overlay. You've now got the texture. We're gonna take that off him for sure. But we're gonna bring the opacity down. We don't want all the detail. We don't want all the leaves. We just want to know that to me, it just knows that the story's there. We're gonna lower the opacity. Oops. Lower the opacity, and we're going to blur that just a little bit. Oops, I did the high pass one. My apologies. Blur, Gaussian blur. There we go. We're going to give it a respectable amount of blurred where you can still see the texture. I'm looking over here. We want the padding. 19 is pretty good. You don't want any details. You don't want to know what it is. You just want to see the texture. So we're good. That's our texture there. I'm actually going to desaturate it. Control U. Brings up the saturation for it. And I'm going to lower the saturation right about there. And then we're going to bring up our layer mask. We can actually keep the layer mask from now on. Make sure it's still on a paintbrush. On a black. Anything that is black is masked out. White is what you see. First things first, we're going to make sure our brush is 100. And we're going to remove it from his eyes. We don't want that on there at all. And so that's at 100. And then I will go down to 70. Oops, wrong button. Right bracket key. And then I'll just start to mask it off him. The texture is, to me, is for the background. I don't mind if it's on his clothes or on him a little bit, but it is for the background. So I'll come over here, hold the Alt, make sure. Looks like a robber. Something he draws a kid, or me as an adult. Alright, so there we're good. Shift it all. Mask, here, I'll shut that mask off so you can see what it looks like. Really, that's a lot better. I didn't do it off his shirt. I don't think you need to. That's good. And then we're going to get to the desaturate the whole thing. Come down here to the adjustment layers. It's just out of the screen recording, so let's see if that works. Adjustment layers, hue saturation, and we're not going to do it all the way. Just, actually, we will go all the way, and then close the properties. We'll close it. We'll do the opacity. I'll do the layer opacity. You could do it either way. To me, I just do it this way because I can redo it later if I want. If I can do it 100% or I don't want to do it all, I can do it right here. Don't want to go too crazy. I just don't like the colors to be too rich. I don't like them to be fake. I don't want them to be too rich. And then once again, we're going to take that mask. We're still on the the brush. Go back to 100%. If you hit 0 on the keyboard, it will reset the brush back to 100%. We'll take it off his eyes. I don't want it there on his eyes at all. And then we can go down to 70%, make it a little bit bigger, and we can start to remove it from his face. Once again, you don't want to do too much to the face. Add some character to it, add some strength to it, but the colors in that, I don't like to mess with that too much. Alt will show us our mask. And here's our robber. We're good. So that's our mask. We'll keep that mask for our lookup tables. Our lookup tables, you just do this as you see fit. I usually start with a foggy night. Where is it? Foggy night. Oops, excuse me. And then you play around with it. You see which looks better for you. So that's too much. I'm gonna go back to normal, and I'm going to lower the opacity of the screen or the lookup table. Then you always want to see how it's doing for you. I think it's adding it. It's adding it a little bit. Now let's do another one. There we go. There we go. We did Foggy Night. Another one of my favorite one is Attention Green. As you can see, it's very bold. Well, yeah, 10%, that's not much at all. I think it just adds just enough. Highlight those two together, Control G, and then I'm going to do another mask. I don't feel like doing it the other way right now. 0 to reset it to make sure the eyes are completely removed. Or the layer is completely removed. And then go back to 60. Whoops, 60. Okay. Just slightly remove it off of them. Alright, so we got that. The layer mask is full density. If we just lower it, it'll bring some of that color back into it, so it looks like it blends in and not clip art. And getting pretty close. I'll do the vignettes in that in Photoshop or Lightroom. From here, I always Control Shift E bring it down, then you can see the before and after. It's definitely not the photo for everybody. It's based on the individual. Gerald's a nice, strong character. Very worthy of a good photo, good portrait. So then I'll do that. Control S will save it. Control W will close it. Come back to Lightroom. Here's our photo, and then from here I will do my vignette. Shift M. Bring up my radial filter. To show you where you're affecting. I'm just going to do a nice broad layer mask. I don't want it on him too much, his face, you don't want to take a distraction away from it. You do vignettes to make the eyes drawn to the area you want. H should bring it back up. I don't think yeah, there's nothing there. Do my darken. There we go. Yeah, just a little bit. And just like that, we went from, where is the original? We went from that to that. Well, I hope you guys like it. Thanks for hanging out for a little bit, and see you next time.